My name is Marie-France Roy, and I snowboard for a living, and I guess I play around a lot. A couple years ago, when I broke my neck, like about 5 years ago, I was left with some time in my hands, and I wanted to learn more about sustainable building and all that. I think that it's a big part of us to build your own home, like just like birds build their nests and all that, and we're really detached from that. The cob house consists of pretty much 1 foot thick walls made of cob, so it's a mixture of sand, clay, and straw mixed together with water on tarps, and then you just step in it to mix it. It takes about half an hour for a batch of 3 5-gallon buckets. So it took me a long time doing this. I didn't really know what I was doing, so anybody can do it. Like, I don't have to be an engineer, and like, I read books. I took 5 days course and asked some questions, and it's pretty straightforward. It's like Play-Doh for adults. It really is all about energy to everything in life, and I really noticed even more so building this house, because it's just every little part we did is like I was there and I know where the materials come from. Most of the materials I used were local, like the clay that I use for my walls and the sand are all within a few kilometers. Just the foundation was built with broken up sidewalk pieces. I used a lot of recycled windows. The wood is all reclaimed. There's also some wood from deadfalls in the forest. There is actually so much trash hidden in the walls, plastic like in there that wouldn't be recycled. You can't see it right now, but there's like a huge amount of garbage in his walls. Overall, it's pretty amazing what you can do with just recycled stuff and like trash and just dirt. A lot of people come here and they look at it and they're like, whoa, that's so much work. And I'm like, yeah, well, you know, most people will work their whole lives to pay for their mortgage, you know, in their big house. And really, I spent 4 years doing this and enjoyed every second of it. You know, it keeps you connected to nature, and it's a lot more work, but then you appreciate it more, what goes into it. Now I think about big houses and stuff, and I'm like, wow, like so much went into this, like so much transport and shipping and chemicals and factories, and you know, it's something to think about. And I realize it's not for everyone, and it's not like we could all live in cob houses, or it's maybe not the solution, but it's nice to downsize and simplify. I was at a conference of David Suzuki last year, and somebody speaking in the beginning said, like, raise your hand if you're an environmentalist. And I was like, I don't know if I should raise my hand. What is an environmentalist really? Like, you know, it's a really hard question, and I think it's a big part of the problem where people are scared to act. And I think, to me, an environmentalist, it's within every one of us. It's like we're part of nature. We're all an environmentalist because we're made of nature. I think we can all do an effort, and we can all be a part of the solution, because we're all part of the problem. This movie was really about featuring like these riders who are amazing athletes and everything, but what they do outside of their career towards making this life and this world a better place is truly what drives me, and I think more people should see.
My little ribs around you. Hey, my name is Tamo Campos, and I'm the co-founder of Beyond Boarding. I guess the goal at the beginning was, can we live out lifestyles that create positive change both socially and environmentally while still being snowboarders? And that's kind of how it started, and then after only a year into the project, we're like, it's definitely possible, and it's kind of changed what the average snowboard trip is for me. I mean, I never would have thought snowboarding could fit so well with activism.
Saved up all my moments for situations coming, but don't know much about nothing, barely know myself.
We've glorified environmentalism. We put these environmentalists like up on a pedestal to the point where it's like it's not possible for the normal mountain town folk. That's a problem because that then creates this kind of feeling that we all can't be incredible. We all can't be these amazing environmentalists, which is completely not true. Every single one of us has our part to play in this. And that comes from the guy at the rental shop to the guy who owns the mountain. We each play a different role, but it's an important role. The way I see it is like snowboarding helps me balance a lot of the activism we take part in. Like at times when you learn what's going on, especially in Canada, it's heavy and you get super down, but I feel like snowboarding gives me that balance, and it definitely is what probably created my activism, just being out in the outdoors since I was little. It's what gave me that like innate love for nature, and I think that led into activism, and I think, you know, it really is a perfect fit.
Since I don't have no gods to help me what I see in that.
Snowboarding, for example, it's like we're kind of a fringe community. We're on the outside, we're a little different, and I think that's what we need. Like mainstream culture right now is not leading us in a good direction. And I think as snowboarders, as this fringe kind of community, we can kind of take a step forward in the right direction. And the biggest thing we need right now is to get away from the way we're doing things. To be honest, like I was a complete adrenaline junkie snowboard addict. I didn't even pay attention to that stuff till only a couple years ago. Like my worry was, how many centimeters did Whistler Blackcomb get? The very first project was, let's do a whole winter without using any fossil fuels. And so we bought this F-250, ridiculous truck. You don't usually see a guy with dreadlocks in an F-250. And we converted it to run on waste cooking oil, so French fry grease. And we traveled all across BC in it, snowboarding, while at the same time only hiking our mountains. And it was so successful, and the coolest part of it was going into classrooms and really having this message that kind of hit the kids differently, because we weren't coming at it at this like preachy environmentalist. We were coming at it as, hey, we're a bunch of snowboarders living in a bus, and it's a lot different field, and I think kids connect to that. In the last 2 years, we've presented to several thousand high school students. We've been featured in oil and gas newspapers. We've taken over drill pads. We've occupied mining camps. We've gone plastic free. We've run our car on waste cooking oil. We've hiked all our mountains. We've organized beach cleanups with kids. We've harvested wild foods, made 2 documentaries. Well, I mean, we've created these like different types of friendships. They're not just on the mountain. It's these friendships that are created knowing that we're making a better world for tomorrow. Being in the backcountry since I was a little kid, and just you get to tour in these mountains that are so much bigger than you. They make you seem little, and I think that's important to feel that and to realize like how immense and incredible nature and these ecosystems are, and then it gives you a different perspective of how you can act within them.
Hi, I'm Gretchen Bleiler, and I'm a pro snowboarder from Aspen, Colorado. I've been a professional snowboarder now for 13 years. With that, unfortunately, I've seen the effects of climate change firsthand.
My name's Jeremy Jones, and I'm a professional snowboarder. I think that snowboarding really was what really drew me into nature, and we need people to fall in love with the outdoors to then protect the outdoors. And without that personal connection with nature, it's very hard to get someone protecting nature. When I first heard the words global warming, I was like, what's that? I don't like the sounds of that. Protect Our Winters is a nonprofit organization focused on uniting the winter sports community to come together to fight climate change.
Climate change is 100% the biggest issue facing humanity. And obviously that means the ski industry, but more importantly, it's the biggest issue facing humanity. Protect Our Winters is an amazing organization, and I've been on the board now for a little while. And basically I was looking for an organization to align with because I was doing all of these things and talking about the environment and creating these mini projects, but I wanted to be involved in something greater than just those little individual things that I was doing. After I went to the Olympics in 2006 and won the silver medal, I guess I realized I actually now had a platform where I could talk about the things that I was seeing and talk about why I was passionate about the environment and what I was seeing, the changes I was seeing, and why everyone else should care too. I believe that the only way we're really going to make big changes is by coming together. And as a snow sports community, we have such power to come together. I really understood that when I went to Capitol Hill for the first time with POW, and they kept saying, the common message that I kept hearing that day was, wow, we need to hear more from you guys, because they're constantly being bombarded by the big money oil industries. And the more they hear from us, the people who it's affecting firsthand, the more it's real. And the more they can actually start making decisions that are going to affect legislation that then will make a big difference.
When I started Protect Our Winters, if you told me we were going to be very active politically, I would have said, no way, I want nothing to do with politics. But we go to Washington probably average about once a year, because for significant change to happen, the reality is it has to happen at a high level in the government. That's where we'll see the most significant positive steps. The problem is that people do have this notion of I drive a pickup truck, so I can't speak, I'm not allowed to say that I like the environment, and that's not true. And if everyone kind of uses their lever to do something positive, and it might feel like it's on a very small level, but if we're all doing that, then it collectively does make a difference. You can't be afraid to shake things up and try things for change.
No one's perfect, and we're not here to say that we're perfect, but we're here to say that we're seeing a change in our environment, and we also understand that there's a way that we can shift our whole society to work towards bettering what we've been doing in this world so far. I mean, I started Protect Our Winters before my kids were born, but I did start it with kids in mind, and now having kids, it's a closer connection to that next generation. We owe it to the
future generations to do as much as we can on this front.
You like that? Did you like the steeps or you like the steep stuff? What do you like about the steeps?
I don't know. They're just fun.
That's really steep in there, man. That's kind of as steep as it gets.
It's fun.
I hope for my own children that they can grow up and experience winter like I have in my lifetime.
Whenever I'm in nature, I just feel so stoked. Without nature, we wouldn't be here. We would be dead. Without like the trees and stuff, we wouldn't have like oxygen, whatever it's called, to breathe.
I definitely think that we need to be doing more for the environment because this glacier could be gone. I think it's at risk right now, but if we work hard to change it, then I think we can.
People often ask me, who needs nature? Why is it important to make that connection? We are a part of nature, like every other species around. Every breath will form a part of every needle and leaf of every tree on the planet eventually. So how can we think we're disconnected from nature? We are ultimately utterly dependent on nature. We need to reconnect ourselves to the world that gives us our most important things like clean air, clean water, and clean food.
The environment in this century is the critical issue which will determine in the future whether our future generations have a life that is equitable, secure, and have a potential to have happiness. Climate change might very well be the issue that defines our ability as a species to succeed or fail in the coming decades.
We're living in a remarkable time in all of human history. Our children are spending more time inside and very, very little time outside. The reality is you only fight to protect something you love. And if the outside has become something really foreign and alien, almost frightening to us, then how are we ever going to fight to protect it?
In many respects, business is both the problem and the solution. And you can't fix the problem from outside the fence. You can't throw rocks from outside the fence. You have to get inside the fence and help change it. And the best way of changing business is to make environmentalism an economic model. And that isn't easy, but that's what we need to do.
The most common question I'm asked by young people is, what is the biggest environmental threat we confront? Is it climate change? Is it species extinction? Is it acidification of the oceans or deforestation? Which one is it? And my answer is, I have no idea which one may finally trigger us over the edge. They're all important. But if you think of these issues, underlying each one of these major environmental problems is a human brain. What is impelling us to be so destructive? And so I think we have to confront the fact that it's about how we live as a community and how we live in terms of the planet that keeps us alive.
My name is Meghann O'Brien. It's my English given name. Recently, since connecting with other parts of my identity that I was disconnected from before, I've become integrated into my Haida and Kwakwaka'wakw lineages. I grew up in the community of Alert Bay, which is like, now that I know it, it's an extremely strong cultural community with a really deep history. There's a lot of the really old ways of teaching and of being with each other that have survived through colonization. I think we, inherit certain things that aren't healed when we're born, and I inherited a lot of shame. Even as like a small kid, I never really wanted to be Native, I guess. Basically, when I started weaving, it was very strong, and I felt the culture for the first time in a way that I'd never experienced, like I never had connected with it before. During that time, I was working closely with the original fiber we used on the coast, which was mountain goat wool. And while I was working with it, I was just feeling like I'd spent so much of my time in its environment. There was one time when I was spinning wool, but it was so rich of an experience that I was like, wow, this is I feel as alive as when I'm going down the mountain. I feel like I was a very successful example of colonization. Somebody that comes from somewhere, now that I know it comes from somewhere really ancient, an ancient culture that's very strong, has a beautiful way of being in the world, and yet I wanted nothing to do with it. And I just felt like, if I ever have kids, I would have never passed this on to them if I didn't start weaving, and it would be totally dead. When I started snowboarding and being in the mountains, I was really inspired by them, and I was kind of obsessed with them. I always wanted to be there, and I really loved snowboarding. Growing up and having snowboarding such a huge part of your identity or your ego attachment, kind of attaching your self-worth to progression or to what you can do rather than your intrinsic value. I feel like it got too tangled up, so mountains kind of at one part of my life turned into a place more of a stage, I guess, and especially in pursuing snowboarding as a career. In perspective now, I went through this process where I stopped snowboarding completely for about a year. I really wanted to return to them with a different perspective, more rooted and based in what our culture says that mountains are. Everything has spirit, and the spirit of the mountain to be in that and to just be present in that environment is so gorgeous. A place to spend time in. And snowboarding is such a cool tool, to be able to interact with nature in that way. We usually approach the natural world as something that we want to take from. We always see it in terms of how is it of value to us. And sometimes I feel like the mountains, we even approach them in the same way, that they're resources that we extract from. They're not tangible resources, but we're still approaching them that we want to take something that's a benefit to us. In my way of thinking of it, we are a part of nature, and we are meant to be a part of it. We're meant to be integrated with it. So to take the mentality that we destroy it, so we need to protect it and quarantine it off somewhere else, it's separating ourselves from it further. But I think the key more of it is reestablishing a healthier connection to it. And I started to think Our earth, the entire earth, is like the basis of everything that we are. But that the language of the earth is something that we've forgotten how to listen to. It doesn't stop communicating with us, but we have stopped listening. Right here, right now, like we're sitting in the middle of everything we need to live comfortably, like live luxuriously, I think. Like I think that the way we lived was probably like really high quality of life. And for people that don't agree, sometimes they don't agree with me or think I'm too like romantic about what it was like. But if you were to put it in a dollar value for like the wood and all of the seafood that we had and like just the way that we lived, you'd need to be a millionaire.
My name's Mike Basich. I've been a pro snowboarder for 20-something years, and I would call myself more of a project creator. Being outdoors has been a huge value to me. I spend most of my day outside, and the things that the world naturally gives is my main values in life, I could say. I've always learned a lot of things through doing something. So everything I've done in my life, I've tried to just go do it. And so my childhood dream was to build my own house, myself, my own hands, get down dirty and see what it gets built as. The house has been a 4-year project. There's no power. You have to do everything yourself. You can't get a cement truck up here. I wanted to be forced to be in a place where I can know what it's like to get everything done I need to. So this is give you a good perspective of what this place was before the house was there. So it was very rocky. Now when I'm up here, I go to bed with the sun. I wake up with the sun. Different things really shift when you get stuck and forced to do things yourself.
I'll stand tall on 2 feet when I sing in the streets. It's the stones I throw, the moon it shines out. We lose control. We lose control. And ask her why she feels alone. Ask her why she feels alone.
It's kind of made me a little bit more conscious with how people do things on a scale that I disagree with, you know, and if you're forced in a way that I need to narrow down what's actually all I need, and I'll get that part done. And that's kind of why I have such a small space, because this is really all I need. I enjoy this way more in a 5-bedroom house, way more. I went through actually a big dive where I realized everything I do is affecting everything. If I exercise, I'm going to eat more. And that's, depending on where that comes from, it could be a terrible thing. You know, just your thoughts can travel so far where you're like, my God, if I get out of bed, I'm going to affect the world. For years, I've thought I was, you know, inspiring, doing this and that, and I'm like, my God, I need to really focus on myself instead of creating something and then sharing it. That's what I'm after. And so that's kind of what I have done up here, is taking care of myself to the best I can by being forced to understand what I need. And from there, I'm slowly moving forward now as far as sharing my experience, trying to inspire people to do something that has to do with their self and not so much of maybe what we're brought up to know what successful is, and do what you truly love in some form. It could be anything.
My name's Jonaven Moore, and I think for a long time people would identify me as a snowboarder, but mostly I've always thought of myself as sort of an explorer or an adventurer. So for me, I guess my shift started to happen when I started to look at really what made me happy in the mountains or just in life. And I was the most happy on a skin track, going splitboarding, hanging out with my friends. And I was actually the least happy hanging out to sign autographs or do something funny like that. And I started to realize that marketing exposure and fame and my ego and just everything was what actually made me the least happy in snowboarding. There was a point for me in snowboarding where my entire schedule was dictated by other people. You know, you have to be here for a contest and there for this, and I had to really step away from snowboarding for a little bit because, yeah, I got really burnt out on it and the pressure made it not fun. Now, when I think about snowboarding, I don't really remember that stuff. I think about when I was a little kid and I would skip school to go snowboarding and I'd ride by myself, and it was just the funnest thing in the world to go as fast as I could and lose myself in the trees and whatever. And that's where the real magic in snowboarding is. For a long time when I was younger, I wanted a lot of stuff, you know. I wanted a really fancy truck to carry my fancy snow machine, but then I had to film all the time just to pay for everything. And sort of found myself just rushing so much that I didn't really have much time to enjoy a lot of it. And so really consciously I started trying to downsize, and I figured if I needed to pay for less stuff, I could have more time to enjoy things in my life. And a lot of the things I most like to do, so skateboarding and surfing and splitboarding, they don't actually cost much money at all. You just need more time in your life to do them. So I live in about 200 square feet. I've never been happier in my life. But more than anything, I think of it as I might have a small house, but I have a really big yard. Even my friends wonder what I'm up to sometimes. Sometimes I wonder what I'm up to. But I've been snowboarding and exploring in the mountains for almost 30 years now. And I'm really just doing the same thing. Trying to live a bit more simply with more time. And for me, the coolest thing in the world was figuring out that I could try and live in a sailboat and travel in my house and go exploring. And maybe one day I'll sail into Southeast Alaska without using any fossil fuels and land myself at the foot of a glacier and go snowboarding. And maybe the next year I'll end up in French Polynesia and go surfing.
So little
wish my bills were paid. I wish my mind was set. Wish my pockets were filled with some bright shiny bills. Wish my tank wasn't empty and my well hadn't run dry. But I just can't seem to get there yet, Mama. Can't get there if I try. But my mama always said, girl, you got what it takes to make things work. Good you to make some mistakes, but you gotta settle down soon. 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 These rambling ways train my heart to never stay. So I pack up these chickens, boys, and stack out the hay. Roll on down this old road with my dog by my side. There's no need to make this lonely heart girl only heart decide. My mama always said, girl, you got what it takes to make things work. Good you make some mistakes, but you gotta settle down soon. 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 Well, she said she's seen them mountains and the wide ocean too. The only thing that's staying strong, girl, is that will in you. Sweet time in the woods, get your head clear and wise. Don't leave them rambling ways behind. Don't leave them behind. Well, life ain't so simple, Mama, when you settle down. Gotta keep on moving on while living in the same town. Watch that sun come up, watch that same sun go down. Well, I gotta get it together, Mama. Gotta settle down, yeah. Gotta get it together, Mama. Gotta settle down, yeah. Gotta get it together, Mama. Gotta settle down, yeah. Gotta get it together, Mama. Gotta settle